We're talking tonight about the 18-19 budget proposal for capital and benefits. So the first two meetings we had was admin, the administrative component. The second meeting we had was instructional. And those two budget presentations did not have benefits costs associated with the budget. So that's why we separated out. We'll show the capital and then we'll show the benefits. Our next meeting, March 15th, we'll talk about revenue discussion. Hopefully we'll get closer to where our state aid runs are, and keeping an eye on the New York State budget, and hopefully it's getting nearer to completion by April 1st. But those are the things that we're looking at. So the capital component is roughly 15% of the total budget. It's just a slice of, a little bit bigger piece of the pie than administrative, a little bit less than benefits. And that fluctuates year to year. So we talked about some of our assumptions. We know the annual inflation rate is roughly 2%. It was a little bit more this year, about 2.13 this year, the CPI. The TRS, Teachers Retirement System, has an 11% increase in their premiums, and ERS is 16.5%. Looking at BOCE services with a 5% increase. I better speak fast. Health insurance, that's to be determined based on some of our numbers that we're seeing, and it's also really predicated, I can't stress enough, on that health care reserve. Without that reserve, we're still going to need to fund adequate money in that account. And I'm trying to remember, I know what I had in the last one. The last slide, the last piece was the community schools is up roughly 36%, I think. I don't have it in front of me, but 39%, okay. I'm trying to go off memory. So here's our 7-year history of the capital fund. You saw a couple years ago, it was a negative. It spiked last year due to our bond payments came online. So we needed to increase the capital to achieve that. But we did receive more state aid last year, so that kind of offset itself. This year we're looking at a 2.5% increase in the capital. What makes up the capital budget increases? In operations, a little bit over $500,000. That's with salaries, furniture and equipment, supplies, things like that. Operations is the buildings and grounds component. And then on the maintenance side, we're up about $364,000. That's due to we have an increased demand for more maintenance on our strings instruments. So we need to take those and get those repaired. We're seeing a little bit more furniture and equipment in that line. And then also our supplies. Thanks, man. Also our supplies and things are there. You'll see the debt service is actually down a little bit this year. But that's because last summer we refinanced our bonds, if everybody remembers, our band, and we're going to save about $400,000 over the next couple of years with that. But we're also having our debt service to pay down some of our debt. So it's important to have payments for debt service to offset so you can get the 2% tax cap. So that for the capital increase is $710,981 for this year, equaling to 2.5% from last year. Just real quick over the debt service overview. Last year we began some of our band payments for the new projects. That's why the increase was so great last year. Some of our state aid, construction aid will increase. That keeps increasing every year. And what's interesting to know about state aid, they do have early payments, but you don't get the full amount until the project's completed. But once you finalize and complete the documents, the full aid doesn't take effect for a year and a half. So we're constantly planning in the future and how the aid and the revenue are going to flow through the district. One of the things I just talked about was paying down our band debt. That's it. That was? Okay. You want me to speak or? Oh man, okay. Is that Paul's problem? Is that Paul? Because he's new? All right. All right, so I'll just talk. So we're talking about paying down the debt. So that's something that's important for us to do. In addition to the reserve, so yeah, I can have copies made. Talking about paying down the debt. So when we do go for bonding or for banding for new projects, we get a better rating and we have more room for the projects. And that's also something the comptroller recommended, paying down debt. The 2016 referendum payments will start this summer. Asking for early state aid on all projects, as we always do. We submit the paperwork. Our treasurer, Shelley Cook, is very good at getting that paperwork in on time. The debt service helps with the tax limitations. So basically what they're saying, the more debt you pay down, the more you can increase your 2% tax cap. And when I spoke, we refinanced to save $400,000 in interest over the next 5 years. And that goes to what our Moody's rating is, as one of the highest ratings in New York State, and probably in most districts. When you have reserves and funds, they give you a better rating and you get better interest rates. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to talk about a little bit about benefits. Our benefits this year is about 3.2 increase. Last year it was about 12.93, and that was with the increase in health reserve last year, even though we were able to save $3 million. So if you remember last year, we were planning on an 18 to 20% increase in premiums from OU BOCES. So this year, the increase in benefit expenditures, employees' retirement, $103,000. Teachers' retirement is $203,000. Social Security is $143,000. Workers' comp is up $24,000. And our health, and this is very important, this health and dental line, right? So we need to increase that to make sure we have the funds available really to offset that $5 million reserve that we're looking for. If we can get that reserve set up, this line will come down substantially. The Affordable Care Act, we're saving a little bit of money there. Tuition reimbursement, a little savings, a little there. So our total increase is 1.221,700 for the benefits. Oh, there we go. Back online here, folks. Woo. Okay, so what we've discussed in the past, this will basically is a summary of all our budget presentations. We're looking at a 4.05% increase over last year for spending. So, as we said, the next one will be our revenue discussion, and that will take place on March 15th. We'll have a better handle on how much revenue we're receiving versus our expenditures, and figure out what we need to do to close that gap, because there's always a gap every year. So. Any questions? Okay.
Now it is. Mic on? All right.
Yep.
Another presentation this evening. I would ask members of the board to study this and then present this, ask questions of Mr. Tuttle either during the week or at the next meeting. So, and Mr. Del Moro
has left the building. Where'd he go? There he is. Here's our calendar, just so everyone's aware.
Now, right in time.
Yeah, we have the revenue next time. Public input, budget adoption is April 19th by the board. Our budget hearing will be the meeting after, and then the budget vote election is May 15th. If anyone needs to register, please contact Taryn Clark, our district clerk, 326-1196.
And
Thank you.
speaking of that Mrs. Clark did an excellent job preparing for this meeting, and board petitions are available. So if you want to pick up a petition, you call Mrs. Clark, 326-1196, 326-1196.